Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the AceMagician AMR5 mini gaming PC. Now this retails for roughly $450 at the time of this unboxing. I'll include a link in the description for those of you interested in picking one up, and in full disclosure, this was furnished to me by the manufacturer for review purposes. However, this is not a paid review for those of you that are wondering. So, what makes the AMR5 unique? Well, first and foremost, its form factor. The manufacturer is calling it a mini gaming PC, and that's because with the refresh of hardware, we now have a new Ryzen CPU in here, because I'm sure many of you have seen this on the market already, but this is a new version of the AMR5. So I'm sure many of you know it has 3 different performance modes: silent, auto, and then, of course, its full throttle performance mode that all can be controlled by the dial at the top of the machine. This particular build, as I mentioned, a refreshed set of internals. We now have AMD's 5800U 8-core processor, so that's going to be interesting in a tiny PC like this at this price point. This particular model is gray. You can see the different color options: silver, gray, and black. We have 16 gigs of RAM. This does go all the way up to 32 pre-configured, and then the NVMe SSD is a 0.5 terabyte. I believe this supports 2 drives, and of course this is the US model. Nothing else really to show. Let's get it out of the box. And I'm excited about this because I think there are a lot of you out there this is going to appeal to. In terms of gaming, remember, we don't have a discrete GPU, rather we have an integrated one. And that doesn't mean that this can't game, it's just you have to be realistic about what it can actually do. So, when it comes to gaming, you know, you're not going to take AAA titles and throw it at this in 4K, but 1080p, 720p, definitely a possibility. And then when it comes to photo and video editing, you definitely can use something like this if it performs as expected. Nice packaging from AMR5, or rather AceMagician. So like that already. As you can see, the first thing we're greeted with, just an outline again of that performance switch and the fact that we do have dual channel RAM that can be upgraded. And of course, as I mentioned, 2 NVMe slots, so that's definitely good if you plan on throwing additional storage in here. The other thing this is ideal for, which the previous generation I think really was highlighted for, is emulation. So if you're looking for something that is going to be ideal for emulation of older titles, this is going to be it. And look at that, I've already opened up the machine. So let's go straight to the internals. So apparently this side, which I was aware of, is magnetic as described here on the little overlay instructions, so very easy to remove. Get inside, you can see the branding in terms of that Ryzen 5800U Series 7, AMD graphics, that is what's going to drive the whole gaming experience. And I'll actually do this the way I should have, which is picking up that plastic tab, and I'll slide this over because, well, we already have a look at the internals, and this is already, I think, one of the most appealing elements, besides the fact that I like the unique design on this. Ever since I saw it roughly a year ago, I thought it was interesting, and I'm glad to now have it in studio and share it with all of you. So we've got a 0.5 terabyte NVMe in there, and of course, we want to throw another one in. We easily can. Ddr4 support. You can see I'm going to have to take a closer look at this. I can't really tell on screen, so bear with me, but it appears to be it's an 16 gigs of Lexar DDR4. These are 3200. So performance here should be good, definitely better than the previous generation. So for those of you wondering, not just a refresh on the CPU and integrated GPU, but we also are getting faster RAM, and I assume better performance out of the NVMe drive as well. So just a quick look around this. I want to show you the ports. Of course, right here in the front, we have our audio jack, then 2 USB-A ports. These are, I believe, 3.0. And then we've got a Type-C port. This does not support Thunderbolt. For those of you that are wondering, it is an AMD chipset. And then we have 2 more Type-A ports, USB 3.0 ports on the back, DisplayPort out, HDMI out, as well as a LAN port. And then last but certainly not least, our power barrel pinhole support for actually powering the unit. So I mentioned before the different performance modes, and I'm going to go ahead and pull the plastic off of this. No ASMR on my channel, even though, who knows, you know, I may get desperate one of these days, or you never know in life. But right up here, we have that rocker that allows you to switch between the different performance modes, which I think is a nice touch. I've always thought that this was a cool little unit, so to now have one in studio, I think it's going to make for, well, it can really be a lot of different things in my opinion, because this can easily be a little home server. It can be an emulation system, trying to get these hooks back in as they should, and there it is. Really easy to snap on. Go ahead and peel this off as well, but I will look at that warning before I do so. So during the system boot process, if you cannot log into your personal Wi-Fi account, please turn off Wi-Fi and LAN, select the skip option, and then log into, well, I can't see the rest. Then log into, trying to read it, there's too much text overlaid there. Oh man, can't read it. But of course, if I have an update pertaining to this, I will share it. But maybe when I peel this off, we'll be able to see it, and we can. So that's good news. So now you can clearly see what the instructions say, which is just to log into your personal account in the system. Anyway, not critical. You can see this little pattern. RGB lighting is going to shine through both sides. Pretty much all plastic on this build, but I think there's a lot to like here because it's really compact. I like that because it stands up with a vertical orientation, it's going to take up even less desk space. And you will see this branded under a lot of different names. I believe they are the same manufacturer. I'm not positive, don't quote me on that, but I believe they are. Of course, this is made in China. And the appeal here is, as stated, that we now have that 5800U faster RAM and then presumably a faster NVMe under the hood. But until I test it, we'll have to wait and see. But just a really small form factor, and I think ideal for a work system, not just a gaming system. The rest of the box, we've got our memory compatibility list, which I think is going to be critical to anyone looking to upgrade this using their own equipment. Or if you just want to jump straight to max RAM, you can configure this with 32 gigs of RAM per the manufacturer. I believe the price on that is around $600 US. But in my opinion, a machine like this, 16 gigs of RAM is going to be enough for most tasks. Now, you can support multiple displays for anyone that is wondering. We did have, as you saw, a display port as well as HDMI out, which means at least 2 displays are going to be driven by this, which I think is more than enough for a small form factor system like this. So it looks like we have the ability to mount this on the back of a monitor, which I think is ideal. And just, you know, I'll look at that as I spend time with it. Let's see what else is in the box. Again, I like the packaging from AceMagician, but it's what you expect. Your power, or rather wall wart to plug in, and then the actual power brick, which is fairly small, standard power supply in terms of for, you know, small devices like this. And then they do also include, just so that you can get up and running, an HDMI cable so that you can hook this up to your preferred monitor of choice. And that appears to be everything in the box. Again, the AMR5 from AceMagician, you've probably seen it before, but I don't know that you've seen it with the new hardware. So I will be testing this out, reporting back, and I think this is, again, going to be interesting, and I think the number of different ways you can use this is kind of limitless if you're looking for a small form factor PC that's going to be quiet, but not trade off capability, because now that we've got an 8-core CPU in here, granted still low powered, which is the beauty of having a small system like this, and then such easy upgradability. I mean, this is where it's at if you're looking for a system like this. So emulation, regular day-to-day work, even some, as I mentioned, 720p, possibly 1080p gaming. I'll be testing and seeing what we can do here in 2023 with one of these tiny monsters. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe and please stay safe. Later.